First Peter 5:8 tells us to be sober and vigilant because the adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. This is video number 12 in the series Predatory People, and I'm going to call this one just Confused Minds. It's just two very short, repulsive stories, and the confused mind of the abuser and the way their minds confuse the children. So the first story, I must have been, I don't have any certain dates written down, but I'm thinking around 7. And I went to the restroom and I wiped, and there was blood on the toilet paper, and it scared me. And I called my mother, and she came and looked, and she left the room, and she went and talked to my stepfather, and she came back and told me, "Your dad said to tell you that you must have used too much soap when you were taking a bath." And that was the end of that. The second story is, at this time we'd moved out of the cities, and we lived on basically a hobby farm. And I remember going out to the barn where there were calves, and I went out there because the stepfather's name was John. He told my sister and I to go out there and feed the animals. And when we got out there, he was already out there, and he was using a calf's mouth for his pleasure. And that was a mind bender. And so that was confusing, but it also shows you the depths of the depravity of that kind of brain, and that he would want someone to see that, set it up so that we would see that, was waiting so that we would see that. And that's demons. It's just demons. People make their own choices, but once they make the bad choices so long, the demons have a stronghold. And then the Bible tells us that God is not the author of confusion, that it's a confused brain. And the confusion comes from the enemy, clearly. And also in his confused brain, I remember asking him one time, and I was older by then, I was probably 14, and he had his own biological children. We were all his stepchildren except my brother, my youngest brother. But I remember asking him one time if he was doing these kind of things to his own children. He had 2 daughters and a son, and I don't remember seeing him more than 2 or 3 times. And I thought they were real nice kids. I thought the girls were just beautiful. And but anyway, I asked him if he'd ever done that to his own children, or his own daughters, and he said, he looked at me in disgust and said, "Of course not. Those are my children." So there you go, how confused his brain is. And there are also people that later, through the years, if I would say my dad did this or that, and then they would find out it was a stepdad, but he had been there since I was 2, only memory I ever had. And they would say, oh, well, it was your stepdad that did that, like it made it not as bad. And that's sick. That's a confused mind of people out there. They may never consider doing that themselves, but it's just so weird how they almost justify it, or it's not worth as big of a penalty if it's a stepchild or not a biological child. It's sick no matter how you do it. It's evil and it's demonic. And I just want to read a couple verses. In Matthew 18:6 tells us, "But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea." And in Luke, and these are Jesus' words, and in Luke 17:2, it says, also in Jesus' words, if you get a red letter Bible, you'll see, "It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he cast into the sea, than he should offend one of these little ones." Jesus loves the children, and he loves the children inside of all of us, and we don't ever have to seek vengeance, because God's going to take care of that. And I might as well mention now that this man died of prostate cancer several years ago. So there's that.